Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another episode of my Manchester United career on Football Manager 2014. This will be the last episode of the new format, which I was planning on using, but going by the feedback that I received the other day, I've decided to switch back to the old format, which was 2, 3, 4 games each video with live commentary and so on. So for this episode, I'm just going to quickly go through the last couple of fixtures that I've already played, and then once I'm all up to date, I'm going to switch back to the old format, and that's how it's going to go. So anyway, United's next fixture was at home against Aston Villa in the Premier League. It would be Jonny Evans opening up the scoring within just 3 minutes gone of the game. We're going to go and have a look at that right now, followed behind by Robin van Persie and Tom Cleverley. Here was Evans' goal then, the first goal of the game. It would be Robin van Persie taking the corner. So let's just rewind the goal here, and we'll see Van Persie taking the corner, aiming for the centre of the area, and you'll see Jonny Evans right there, breaking away from the centre halves, and there's Zaha, and I think it's a deflection off Lars' head, which directs the ball towards Evans, and look at this, there's 3 players surrounding Jonny Evans, but he still manages to beat them to it, and the goalkeeper did get a touch to it, almost parried it, but it went into the top corner. Let's move on to the second goal of the game. Villa had a free kick after United were offside, and what can I say about that? It really is poor by the Aston Villa goalkeeper Steer. He'd be shot down and probably dropped by the Villa manager. I mean, he had 5 options who he could pass it to. Failing that, knock it upfield. I mean, United, we were playing a high line, and you'll see that once I switch to touchline here. We were playing a high line, we were pressing, so if anything, why not just knock it upfield? Obviously, he can recognise that. If he was my goalkeeper, I'd definitely drop him. Oh, just look at that. That's just so poor. You can't get away with that, especially in the Premier League. I would be so devastated if that was my team. Dear oh dear. So 2-0 up against Villa. And the third goal came from yet another corner. It was Januzaj that took as I brought him on in the second half. And there is Nick Powell as well, who I brought on. I'm going to start using him a lot more this season. Start taking advantage of him. And you've already seen the goal. A rare goal from Tom Cleverley. Januzaj takes... Look at the space that Nick Powell has been given outside this area. He could potentially have taken a touch or two, ran with the ball a bit and did a Paul Scholes and absolutely smashed it at goal. But no, unselfish-like of Nick Powell, he gives it to Tom Cleverley. Again, Villa failing to mark these players up. It makes me wonder how they're still in the Premier League if they're playing like this in this career mode save, Villa. It's really poor. Let's just take a look at Tom Cleverley. You know, he's really impressed me in these last 2 seasons. Every time I've played him, he's always put in a decent performance. I haven't played him as much as I did last season. He's started 5 games, and his average rating is 7.17, so it's not too bad for 7 games. I know I should be playing him a lot more, but I've mainly been going with Michael Carrick and William Carvalho, or Michael Carrick and Fellaini, or William Carvalho and Fellaini, and just kind of forgot about Cleverley. I should be playing him a lot more, actually, when I come to think of it, after his performances last season. If you missed that, go back, check out a couple of episodes, and you'll see what I mean with Cleverley. I mean, look at his stats there. You know, he's mentally sound, physically sound, technical. He got a lot of stick last season in real life, Cleverley, under David Moyes. And that was a shame, because I thought under Fergie, I thought he was, you know, he was getting there eventually, and he's been named as the next Paul Scholes or something like that. You know, I think given time and more development, I think he's going to flourish under Louis van Gaal. But we'll have to see. Anyway, moving on to our next fixture. It's in the Champions League against Sparta Prague. It's our 5th game in the group stages, and we absolutely thrashed them 6-0. Rooney with a hat-trick. You had Kagawa picking up 2 goals, and Ezekiel Garay as well. Vertonghen did return to the team after being banned for a couple of games from the Champions League after he picked up too many yellow cards. And Patrick Herrmann also picked up an injury in this game, which I was hoping he wasn't going to be out for too long, but it wasn't too bad as I thought it was going to be. So let's go and have a look at Rooney's first goal anyway in the 11th minute. So Chris Smalling taking the ball down the right side. I thought maybe he was going to cross it in, but found William Carvalho in space, and then he found Patrick Herrmann. Always in the thick of it, Herrmann is. And Rooney, again, just absolutely destroying the opposition's back 4. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to analyse every goal in this game. There was just too many of them, and I don't want the video to go on too long. Look at Herrmann again, getting stuck in, catching Sparta Prague off guard, and just allowed that attack to flow, and Kagawa getting himself on the score sheet. It's almost as if Rooney and Kagawa were trying to outdo each other. As I've said in the past, once you get two players trying to outdo each other on the pitch, then you know you've got a top side that you can potentially win things with. And Rooney, there is his goal. Simple cross by Januzaj. An easy header really for Rooney. Absolutely no challenge, and he got his second goal of the game, making it 3-0. Patrick Herrmann just toying with their left back, eventually coming out on top and swinging in the cross. And once again, it was a simple header. Shinji Kagawa making it 4. There was certainly no coming back for Sparta Prague at this point. And as it stood, we will qualify for the next round of the Champions League with a game to spare in the group stages. Now for the 5th goal, I will quickly analyse this and show you guys what went down. More detailed look. Rooney with the free kick, and look at Garay just peeling away from that left back. Appalling defending. Seem to be coming across that lately with some of the teams we've had to play recently. Just rewind this and get a better view of the action. Switch that to touchline, that's much better. There were appeals for offside, but as you can see, as the ball dispatches from Rooney's boot, Garay started to make his run. Now the left back and the centre half should be sticking with him, putting him under pressure so he couldn't put the ball into the back of the net, but it almost as if they were lacking motivation at this point, and they just thought, oh, what the hell, you know, we can't be arsed, that's it, 5-0. But there was still one more goal to go for Manchester United, and it'd be Wayne Rooney capping off a fantastic performance with a beautiful free kick and grabbing his hat-trick. Shades of that game he played for United in 2004 in real life against Fenerbahce in the Champions League when it ended 6-2. Look at that for a free kick. Keeper nowhere to be seen, and that would be all she wrote for Sparta Prague. Final score 6-0, as you know, and we'll just go and have a look at the group stages as it stood after that game. We do still have one more game to go, and I'll probably just play the youngsters for that game against PSV. And as you can see in Group E, Manchester United already qualified. We haven't lost or drawn a game. We've won all 5. As you can see, we started off against Sparta Prague, we won 4-0. Then PSV, we won 3. Then Anderlecht 5-2. And then Anderlecht again, away from home, we won 1-0 there. And just recently, 6-0 against Sparta Prague. And then finally, we play PSV before we head to the knockout stages of the Champions League. So looking forward to seeing who we are drawn against. But let's just go now and have a look at the main dashboard for the Champions League. As you can see, Rooney, top of the average rating board, followed closely behind by Aguero and Nasri from Man City. Top goal scorer at the moment is this guy from Shakhtar, Ferreira. And Aguero and Dzeko and Mario Gomez. I haven't heard from him recently. He's playing for Fiorentina on this career mode save. Rooney and Herrmann there in the most assist list. There is Patrick Herrmann. Oh, such a fantastic player. I remember last season I initially signed him in January, but the deal went through at the end of the season because I didn't have the funds at the time. But I mean, his average rating 7.66, doesn't get any better than that. He's already played 11 games, scored 4 goals. At one point, I thought he was never going to stop scoring. Now look at his detailed stats as well. You've got crosses succeeded, an attempt, yellow cards, red cards. He hasn't even picked up any of those in all 18 games that he's played, and I want to try and keep it that way. And let's just have a look at where's his development? There it is. No, it's not the advice, it's the training that I want, so click on that. It's his free kick taken that needs working on. His attribute is only at 8 at the moment, so I think we'll be trying to work on that for the future for Patrick Herrmann. Now, before I do move on to talking about the other teams in the Premier League and maybe in the Champions League or other leagues, I'll just quickly go through this game against QPR. It ended 4-0 in the Premier League. We were playing away from home, and I decided to go with Danny Welbeck on the left. Remember how amazing that worked out for us last season. And Juan Mata replaced Wayne Rooney. I decided to rest Rooney. He was looking a bit tired, and I even had the conversation with him. You know, it gives you that option to do so, and he was more than happy to take that holiday. Of course he was. Also, Patrick Herrmann was available to play this game, and so I chose him. We had a week off because of internationals, and he was fully fit, so I thought, why not? And he couldn't help himself by getting on the score sheet. He is just an all-around top player, Patrick Herrmann. And we'll just rewind the goal here. As you'll see, we'll switch to touchline, much better view. Danny Welbeck flicked the ball over the centre half. I think it was Hughes for QPR that failed to connect with the ball and just try and clear it of the danger, and the ball just slipped past him and rolled on for Patrick Herrmann to just tap into the back of the net. So United 1-0 up, and it will be Juan Mata to get the second goal in the 28th minute. Chris Smalling gave the ball to William Carvalho to allow him to run into space. Carvalho gave it back to Smalling, then gave it to Patrick Herrmann, and Herrmann again getting himself in that danger area. It's fantastic to see. And so he gave the ball to Mata, who converted that into a goal. It went 3-0 then to Manchester United after another set piece, and it would be Garay getting on the score sheet for the second time in 2 games. As you see with the replay here, as the ball gets whipped in from Van Persie, I thought QPR did a much better job than Kramer did for Sparta Prague in our previous game. And so Simpson, he stuck with Garay. It's almost as if they've been watching tapes of our set pieces. But he still failed to prevent that goal from happening. And Van Persie made it 4 with a simple penalty. No need to analyse that. And speaking of Van Persie, I know I mentioned in the last episode that I thought he may be going off the rails and not putting in the best performance that he can possibly do. But looking at his recent form, I mean, his average rating is 7.5 overall. He's played 13 league games and scored 10 goals. Fantastic stuff. But it just seems as though he's playing one bad game, then one good game, one bad game, one good game, and so on. But what makes me kind of nervous is the fact that what happens if we're playing someone like Man City or Chelsea and he's having a bad game. So we've got to watch out for that. Patrick Herman did get man of the match for that game against QPR. And here is the league table as it stood after that game. We have played 13 games in total. We are 5 points top. Man City trailing behind. They are putting up a top challenge this season, unlike last. I could see this league just being between United and City. I mean, look how far down Liverpool, Chelsea and Arsenal are. Really poor stuff from Montella here, who's taken over from Wenger, who quit at the end of last season after winning the Champions League. And we'll just go through their results here as well. So many losses. So that was their friendly against Galatasaray. On the opening day of the league, they lost against Southampton 3-0. That's a heavy loss. Then they lost against Chelsea. Then they lost against United 2-0. Then they lost against Everton, another 2-0 loss there. Then they beat Liverpool on penalties to advance through to the next round of the Capital One Cup. They lost against Newcastle 3-1, and then they've drawn 3 games in a row there. And just recently, they've beaten Norwich 4-2. And we've got to play them very soon in the Capital One Cup quarterfinals. Wow, so Montella, it's certainly not looking good for him at the moment. If he doesn't turn things around very soon, I can definitely see him being shown the door. And what a letdown for the fans. Coming off a high of winning the Champions League last season, now they're in the bottom half of the table. I know it's still early days, but going by the results, I can see it going on a bit longer. And they'll probably just make the top 10, Arsenal, come the end of the season. I can see that happening. And I'm sure the Arsenal fans are calling for Montella's head. They want him out. They want a new manager. Who knows? Anyway, let's go over now and have a look at Chelsea, because they're another team that's not doing well in the league. I mean, they're 10th at the moment, mid-table. I mean, look at some of their results that they've got. They lost against Newcastle, lost against Cardiff, lost against QPR, lost against Man City just recently. It's poor, and I think there is speculation as well that Mourinho could be shown the door by Abramovich. That'll be interesting to see what happens there. At least it's not Manchester United. Anyway, Robin Van Persie is top of the top goal scorers list, followed closely behind by David Silva and Wayne Rooney. And just look at how many assists we've got there from United. Anyway, guys, I'm going to end it there. Hope you've all enjoyed. Don't forget, I will be switching back to the old format in the next episode. Thanks for watching.